This is what happened when Germany's greatest darts prodigy won a world youth title, beating a future major champion, climbed to world number 23, reached the World Cup of Darts semi-final, reached the European Championship semi-final, lost his tour card, spent 2 years in a commentary chair, and then walked back onto the Alexandra Palace stage 5 years later as the 93rd seed and won again. Max Hopp is the story darts fans think they already know. The teenage prodigy, the maximizer, the German great hope who came before Clemens, Schindler, Pikachu and Hempel. What actually happened between the 2015 World Youth Final and the man who stood on the Ali Palioki in December of 2025 is a career most casual fans have stopped telling accurately, and this is the full version. The Prodigy era opens at the 2015 PDC Unicorn World Youth Championship, where a teenage Max Hopp walked into the final against an English player called Nathan Aspinall. Aspinall was just another young hopeful on the circuit at the time, though he would later go on to claim the UK Open in 2019, the US Darts Masters that same year, and the World Match Play in 2023, becoming one of the most decorated stage players of his generation. That final went the distance to 6 legs to 5, and here is the detail most people forget. Aspinall held match darts in hand and missed them, which meant Hopp took the decider. A teenage German did more than win a youth title that night. He beat a future senior major champion in a deciding leg at the decisive moment. That one match became the foundation of everything that came next, and Hopp has spent the decade since trying to live up to it. Before Hopp arrived, Germany had a Bundesliga scene and a handful of capable tour players, but no prodigy and no face of the sport. Hopp became both at once. The PDC handed him a nickname that turned into a commercial brand, calling him the Maximizer, while the German fans built their own chant of Super Max, ringing out from the stands at every Alexandra Palace appearance. The career backed the hype. Hopp spent the back half of the 2010s climbing inside the top 32 of the world rankings, and by 2018 he had settled around world number 23 on the PDC Order of Merit, the highest ranking any German had reached to that point. The year 2018 brought something no German had ever done before. In April of that year, at the German Darts Open in Saarbrücken, Hopp won a PDC European Tour title, the first ever ranking European Tour event won by a German player. On the way to the title, he took out Peter Wright, the reigning world champion Rob Cross, and in the final, in a dramatic deciding leg, he beat Michael Smith 8 legs to 7. A single title opened a door that Martin Schindler, Gabriel Clemens, Florian Hempel and Ricardo Pietreczko would all eventually walk through, though Hopp walked through it first. Later that same 2018 season, the Maximizer went even deeper. At the European Championship in Dortmund, Hopp ran through William O'Connor, James Wilson and Darren Webster to reach the semi-final, becoming the first German ever to make a major semi-final. In that semi-final, he lost to the eventual winner James Wade, 9 legs to 10, after missing 3 match darts of his own. Then in September, he took Players' Championship 19 in Dublin, becoming the first German to win a PDC Players' Championship title. By the 2018 and 2019 Alexandra Palace runs, Supermax had become a mainstream German sports story, with Sport 1 building its darts coverage around him and the PDC starting to treat the German market as a live commercial audience. For a window of roughly 3 years from 2017 to 2019, Max Hopp was the answer when anyone asked who the best darts player outside the British Isles under 25 actually was. The biggest team career moment arrived in 2020 when Hopp partnered Gabriel Clemens at the World Cup of Darts and did something no German pairing had ever done, reaching the semi-final. In the quarter-finals, they beat the Netherlands. In the semi, they ran into the Welsh pairing of Gerwyn Price and Johnny Clayton, who went on to win the tournament, and they lost the match. Germany had never reached a World Cup of Darts semi-final before, and Hopp and Clemens got there. Had the story ended at that point, Max Hopp would be remembered as a top 30 career player with a European Tour title, a European Championship semi-final, a Players' Championship title and a World Cup semi-final, plus a legacy as Germany's breakthrough figure. The story did not end there, and what came next got far more complicated. What happened to Max Hopp between 2020 and 2024 is the part of the story the comeback headlines tend to skip. The form dropped, the ranking followed it down, and at the end of 2022, the tour card went too. By the 2023/24 PDC World Championship, Hopp did not feature in the draw at all. He sat in the Sport 1 studio as a television expert. Honesty came with the territory. Speaking on camera to the German darts outlet darten.dia during that same World Championship, Hopp stated his ambition directly, and in translation his exact words were, "I want to reach a double-digit number of World Championship appearances." The man saying those words was watching the sport from a microphone while his career total sat stalled. Through 2024, he stayed off the main Pro Tour entirely, working the Challenge Tour and trying to rebuild, while the English-language darts community had already started calling the decline what it was. A video titled "The Downfall of Max Hopp" went up in February of 2025 and pulled over 40,000 views, which is not a phrase the darts internet uses lightly. By late 2024, the Maximizer was being written about in the past tense, and that is when he went back to Q School. For anyone unfamiliar with the format, Q School is the annual entry window where players without a tour card get one chance per day across 4 days to earn 2 years on the PDC Pro Tour. The format is brutal and unforgiving, with waiting lists full of former top 30 players who never make it back. In January of 2025, Max Hopp made it back, earning the tour card and triggering German darts press headlines that read, "In effect, Max Hopp is back." The 2-year tour card he took home that January is still active in April of 2026, which meant no return to Q School at the start of this year. That detail matters for the rest of the story, because what follows is not a one-tournament comeback, it is a full year of grinding work. Through 2025, Hopp played the Pro Tour schedule as a returning journeyman rather than as a headline star. February saw him out of UK Open, qualifying after a loss to Sean Fox, and on the Players' Championship circuit, he exited to Jermaine Watamina. None of those results generate highlight reels. But here is the thing, something started to build. By November of 2025, Hopp had qualified for the Players' Championship finals at Minehead, and making that field requires sitting inside the top 64 on the Players' Championship Order of Merit. Getting into that tournament was itself a ranking achievement for somebody who had been outside the tour a year earlier. He drew Gerwyn Price in Minehead, the same Gerwyn Price who had beaten him and Clemens in the 2020 World Cup semi-final. Around that same window, Bulls Darts launched the 5th edition of the Max Hopp Maximizer Signature Dart. Signature Dart ranges and darts are not charity projects. They are commercial products that only survive if they sell. Bulls released Edition 4 late in 2025 and followed it with Edition 5 before the year closed, which meant the Maximizer brand was, and still is, commercially viable. Whatever the ranking said, the market had not moved on. By the time the 2025/26 PDC World Championship draw was made, Max Hopp went in as the world number 93 seed. His first round opponent was the Englishman Martin Lukeman, seeded 38, which meant on paper Hopp was the underdog of the match. On that stage, on the 15th of December 2025, Max Hopp won, 3 sets to 1. That was his first Alexandra Palace win as a player in 5 years, against an opponent ranked 55 places higher on the tour. Sport 1 led its darts coverage the next day with a single-word framing that told you everything about how the German media was reading the moment, using the word Traumhaftes, meaning dreamlike, with the full headline translating as "Dreamlike World Championship Comeback for Max Hopp." Talking to Sportschau right after the match, Hopp summed up what it meant in one line, which in translation reads, "I am so happy, this means unbelievably much to me. Darts is my life, my calling." To Darten.de, he added a single sentence that cut closer to the bone. "I wanted this win more." He did not mean more than his opponent or more than the crowd, he just meant more, and that was the whole of the answer. The dedicated German-language PDC Europe interview, filmed that same week, ran 10 minutes and 44 seconds, a sit-down the PDC does not routinely produce for non-British players, and Hopp went further in that one. In translation, his words were, "I believe I can compete with the German top players." That is not a champion's quote, it is the quote of a man who knows he has been written off, who knows the German top 3 is now Martin Schindler, Ricardo Pietreczko, and Gabriel Clemens, and who is publicly stating he still belongs in the conversation. The comeback at Ali Pali 2025/26 lasted exactly 1 match. On the 21st of December, in round 2, Hopp ran into the Englishman Luke Woodhouse and lost 3 sets to 0, managing only a single leg across the whole match. His doubles percentage sat at roughly 10%. Sport 1's next day headline dropped the word Traumhaftes and replaced it with Kurzer Prozess, meaning short work, with the full headline translating as "Short Work World Championship Exit for Max Hopp." That whiplash from dreamlike to short work in 6 days is the truest summary of where Max Hopp actually sits in April of 2026. The comeback is real, but the ceiling is not what it used to be. Early in 2026, Hopp lost 6 legs to 4 to Kevin Dotes at a Players' Championship event, and then in mid-April, he did something that pointed the other way, qualifying for the Baltic Sea Darts Open in Kiel after coming from 4 legs to 5 down against the Dutchman Christian Kiss to win 6-5 with an average over 95. The current version of him is competitive, dangerous on his day, not the player who won a European Tour title in 2018 or took a major semi-final that same year, though still not a man who belongs in the past tense. The hard numbers, as of April of 2025, place his career prize money at just under £600,000, roughly £595,280, which ranks him 61st on the all-time PDC career earnings list. That number places him behind 2 fellow Germans. Gabriel Clemens sits 40th on that same list with around £950,000, and Martin Schindler sits 44th with roughly £867,000. Both players Max Hopp was once measured against and ahead of have now pulled clear of him. Clemens reached a World Championship semi-final in 2023, becoming the first German ever to do it. Schindler hit Germany's first televised 9-dart finish at the Hungarian Darts Open in 2024 and added 2 European Tour titles the same year. Ricardo Pietreczko then overtook Clemens after the 2024-25 World Championship. In the current German darts hierarchy of April 2026, Max Hopp sits somewhere in the 4th to 6th tier, trailing Schindler, Pietreczko, Clemens, and Hempel. The prodigy is now the veteran looking up at the generation he helped make possible, and that is the part of the story that actually changes how you see him. Here is what Max Hopp did that Gabriel Clemens, Martin Schindler, Ricardo Pietreczko, and Florian Hempel could not do when they first turned professional. He existed first. The PDC built German darts coverage around him, and Sport 1 made him a star before there was even a market for German darts stars. That first European Tour title belonged to Hopp. That first major semi-final run belonged to Hopp. That first Players' Championship title belonged to Hopp. And the World Cup of Darts semi-final run with Clemens was half his too. The door he walked through became the same door the players who now rank above him had to walk through later. The 4 Germans currently ahead of him in the rankings have all cleared ceilings Hopp did not reach, with Schindler's 9-dart finish, Clemens' world semi-final, Pietreczko's surge past Clemens, and Hempel's Ali Pali comeback wins all belonging to that list. Every one of those moments arrived after Max Hopp had already made German darts a thing the PDC, the broadcasters, and the sponsors treated as a real market. The new generation did not come from nowhere, it came from a foundation he poured. Unlike a lot of prodigies who faded away, Max Hopp did not quit. Retirement never came, and neither did a walk-away moment when the tour card vanished at the end of 2022. Instead, he took a commentary job, told Sport 1 on camera that he wanted double-digit World Championship appearances, went back to Q School at the start of 2025, won the tour card. Back, ground through a full year of Pro Tour events, qualified for the Players' Championship finals, qualified for Alexandra Palace, and won a match there in December of 2025 against Martin Lukman as the lower-ranked player. The 5th edition of his signature dart launched that same month. In the summer of 2025, a major German mainstream television show called Mein erstes Mal, Der Sportarten Tester, brought him on as the expert trainer alongside the Schlager musician Eke Hüftgold. Not as a novelty, but as the specialist. The Sport 1 coverage remained lead billing. The PDC German language interview output is still treated as a priority by the PDC's European operation. And while he is not at the top of German darts anymore, he is also very far from gone. If you came into this video thinking Max Hopp was the prodigy who fell off, the Supermax chant that used to be louder, the face of a German darts era that ended, that is one reading of the career, and it is also an incomplete one. The fuller reading goes like this. Hopp is the only player in German darts history who has won a PDC World Youth title by beating a future senior major champion in a deciding leg, won a European Tour title no German had ever won, reached a PDC major semi-final no German had ever reached, taken a Players' Championship title no German had ever taken, reached a World Cup of Darts semi-final no German pairing had ever reached, lost a tour card, commentated for 2 years on the tour he used to play on, won that tour card back at Q School, and walked back onto the Alexandra Palace stage as the number 93 seed to beat a seed 38 opponent. No other German has pulled off that full sequence, and no other German ever will, because the door Hopp opened means the next generation never had to. Max Hopp is not finished. He is not the number one in Germany, and he is something the sport does not produce very often, a prodigy who became a veteran without becoming a cautionary tale. The career is longer and stranger than the headlines suggest, which is what should change how you see him. Do you think Max will win another Pro Tour title in the future?